Good evening and welcome to all of you to this event to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the start of war against Ukraine. My name is Christian Böttcher. I'm the spokesperson of the German Embassy and I will guide you through this event here tonight. Do you remember where you were when the war started? Do you remember what you were doing 1,096 days ago when you heard the news that war is back in Europe? Let us take some time tonight to reflect on the past 3 years and let's join hands to further support Ukraine. One of the continuous supporters of Ukraine is Kosovo. And that's why we are especially honored tonight to have with us President Osmani, who will now address us. Dear Madam President, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Members of the government, members of the diplomatic corps, excellencies, ambassadors, Madam President, friends of Kosovo and friends of Ukraine, most importantly, journalists from Ukraine and other citizens of Ukraine who are with us today. Today, as we all know, marks 3 years since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. We remember very vividly the morning of February 24th, 2022. Just days earlier, world leaders had gathered at the Munich Security Conference, and from the conversations that were taking place there, I remember that we, those of us that know war, we knew that the risks were very, very high. Yet many still clung to the disbelief that war would once again return to European soil. And yet, war did return. For 3 years now, we have witnessed immense suffering, 3 years of loss, 3 years of pain, but also 3 years of unmatched resilience and extraordinary bravery by the people of Ukraine, who have stood firm in defense of their homeland, of their dignity and their freedom. The cost of this war is immeasurable and devastating. It is counted in lives stolen too soon, in families torn apart, in homes reduced to dust. It is felt in the pain of parents burying their children, in the silence of towns that once thrived with life, and in the strength of those who, against all odds, refuse to surrender their future to tyranny. Nothing compares to a brutal attempt to break a people's spirit. Because buildings can be rebuilt, roads can be repaved, and city squares brought back to life. But the greatest challenge lies in restoring what cannot be measured in bricks and mortar: the resilience of the human heart, the return of hope over despair, and the triumph of light over darkness. Kosovo understands this pain all too well. We have lived it. We know what it means to wake up to the sound of a regime seeking to wipe us out of the face of the earth, and to search desperately for missing loved ones, to rebuild from the ashes of war. That's okay. I'm a mother of kids too, and although they will be 11 soon, I've had these kind of things way too often to completely show my understanding. It's okay. But seeing little kids in this room makes us even more determined in our path to support Ukraine. As I said, Kosovo knows what it means to wake up to the sound of a regime seeking to wipe us out of the face of the earth. And that is why, from the very beginning, from day one, we have stood with the people of Ukraine through action and not just promises. We have opened our doors to those seeking refuge, extended our hands to those in need, and raised our voices to ensure Ukraine's struggle is never forgotten. We have done this together with the Ukrainian journalists, whom I want to once again thank for their bravery, but for also fighting so hard together with each and every one of us to defend the truth. And to once again extend my deepest condolences for the loss of your dear friend, our dear friend, Olya. In the past 3 years, we have seen our women and girls show unparalleled solidarity with the women and girls of Ukraine. In particular, the survivors of sexual violence during the last war in Kosovo have reached out in support of survivors in Ukraine, offering not just empathy, but the power of shared resilience. We have seen our soldiers equip Ukrainian forces with military training and life-saving demining skills, skills that are instrumental not just in navigating the battlefield today, but in reclaiming a safer future once the war ends. We have given Ukraine everything we were able to give, be it weapons or unwavering support, knowing that Ukraine's victory is our victory and Ukraine's loss is our loss. We have seen support that transcends borders, where words alone cannot capture the depth of what is at stake, but where action speaks louder, stronger, and with undeniable conviction. Yet standing with Ukraine is not just about remembering our past. It is about shaping our joint future. A future where no mother is forced to flee her home with her children in the dead of night. A future where peace is not a distant hope, but a lived reality. A future where justice is served and those responsible for this suffering are held accountable. We cannot grow numb to Ukraine's pain. This war cannot become just another headline. We cannot and must not normalize suffering of the innocent civilians. We must remain steadfast in our commitment to peace, to justice, and to ensuring that Ukraine does not just survive this war, but emerges stronger, free, and sovereign, and more determined than ever. The people of Ukraine deserve to live in peace and in their long-fought freedom. Europe deserves security and stability. And above all, our shared humanity demands that we remember the essentials: peace, liberty, and the right to live and be free. The days ahead will shape not only the future of Ukraine, but perhaps the future of all of us who believe in a world where peace prevails over war, where freedom triumphs over fear, where life triumphs over death, and where a freedom-loving people triumphs over genocidal and hegemonic minds. The choices we make today will shape the history that future generations will read about. Let us ensure that when they look back, they do so with pride, knowing that in the face of injustice, we stood in the right side of history. May the actions we take today bring hope, not just for this generation, but for those yet to come. May the children of Ukraine be given the chance to grow, dream, and thrive, just as the children of Kosovo are thriving today with the support and help of our allies. May Ukraine, like Kosovo, become a country where its people do not just survive, but flourish, where resilience is not just a necessity, but our foundation for a brighter future. To every Ukrainian mother and father, to every child longing for peace, to every grandparent who prays for a safer tomorrow, You are not alone. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you very much, Madam President, for your words. I would now like to invite the French Ambassador, Olivier Guiraud, to address us.
Madam President, Ministers of the Government of the Republic of Kosovo, members of the Assembly of the Republic of Kosovo, members of the Judiciary, Madam former President Yahiaga, dear Ukrainian journalists and Ukrainian citizens, dear guests. As we are marking today the third anniversary of the Russian aggression in Ukraine, as discussions are accelerating in the last days, I would like to convey three messages. Three simple and yet, I believe, important messages. First, the fight for the freedom of Ukraine is also a fight for European security. 3 years ago, on the 24th of February 2022, Russia launched a war of aggression against its neighbor, 8 years after its first aggression against Ukraine, transgressing all rules of international law and blatantly violating the territorial integrity, the sovereignty, the independence of an internationally recognized state. This war, entering its fourth year, is a matter of death and life in the first place for Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. They are the first victims of this brutal war. And our dear Kosovo friends know too well what a war means. Russia's war in Ukraine, too, has been targeting the civilians since the very beginning. The massacre in Bucha, the war crimes in Mariupol, the systematic attacks on civilians and civilian infrastructures with drones and missiles are just a few examples. They are the trademark of the Russian war in Ukraine. The soldiers and the civilians of Ukraine deserve our support, and I would like to invite you all to stand up and applaud as a symbolic gesture of solidarity and respect. Thank you very much. This war is also a matter of the highest importance for the European security. The future of the security of our continent, and most certainly the future of the international order, is at stake. Because Russia might not stop there if Ukraine was to surrender, which they will not do. Therefore, it is important to do two things. First, to continue supporting Ukraine militarily and financially with training and with equipment. That is what France, like the US, like the EU, like so many countries, like Kosovo, has been doing and which we must continue to do. Recently, we delivered fighter jets to Ukraine to help them boost their air defense. The second thing is to support Ukraine in its quest for a just and lasting peace. I think we all wish that this war comes to an end because of its terrible human cost. We, together with others, together with other Europeans, with non-Europeans, and especially the US, of course, we will stay at the initiative to identify, together with the Ukrainians, ways to put an end to this war in order to achieve a just, stable, and lasting peace, which will guarantee the interests of Ukraine and our interest. Nothing should be, nothing can be decided on Ukraine without the Ukrainians. Nothing can be decided on European security without the Europeans. I told you I had 3 messages. The first was that the fight for Ukraine's freedom is also a fight for the security of Europe. The second message is that Russia is weakened, but it remains a destabilizing factor. Russia is weakened. Russia has been experiencing strategic setbacks at the beginning and during this war. The Russian troops, who thought they would easily seize Kiev and the rest of Ukraine, have been routed. They have become increasingly reliant on third countries for their war efforts and even had to turn to North Korea for direct military support. The strategic imbalance with China has grown bigger and bigger. They overspend on military, sacrificing their economy, which is also under EU and US sanctions. In that context, the threat posed by Russia has gone bigger. It carries on with assassination of dissidents and has been increasingly waging hostile cyber or hybrid activities in Europe and outside Europe. They remain a threat at the European borders, at our borders. Therefore, a ceasefire without a durable peace agreement supported by security guarantees for Ukraine would be dangerous. What we want is a just and lasting peace, not a simple and fragile ceasefire. Ukraine must benefit from robust and credible security guarantees. This leads me to the third message. We, Europeans, must do more. For years, the Americans have asked the Europeans to take a bigger share of the burden. While this is not new, this message has become even more straightforward with President Trump. We, France, recognize that they have a point. In the last 7 years, our defense budget has almost doubled. We must increase our efforts even further to be able to defend ourselves. The Europeans must build a stronger pillar in NATO. A strong European defense is the logical conclusion of the recognition of the fact that America is free to define its own priorities. It is also key to deter Russia from undermining our security in the long run. We welcome Kosovo's support to and alignment with the European position on the war in Ukraine. And we also welcome the concrete steps taken by the authorities of Kosovo, like, for instance, but not only giving a shelter to Ukrainian journalists. In the present context of uncertainty, it is essential to maintain stability in the Western Balkans, to work towards de-escalation and to return to the path of dialogue towards normalization of relations between Kosovo and Serbia. The full implementation by both sides of the Brussels-Ohrid Agreement is essential to allow progress and stability in this region. It is also a concrete contribution that each of the two countries can do to the security of our continent. The situation in Kosovo cannot be separated from the bigger picture of the security of our continent. So, as a conclusion, I would like to invite the authorities of the Republic of Kosovo to lead by example and prioritize coordination and dialogue for the sake of their own country and for the sake of the whole continent. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot is at stake. Fresh thinking is needed. But let me once again pay tribute to the courage of the Ukrainian civilians and the Ukrainian soldiers. Slava Ukraini.
Thanks a lot, dear Ambassador. Diving deeper into the reality of 3 years of ongoing war, we will now screen the movie Intercepted, that paints a drastic picture of the cruelty of war and the emotional tension soldiers are confronted with. The film focuses on the Russian soldiers and the phone calls they have with their families and loved ones straight from the battlefield. We will both learn about Russian propaganda and heroic illusions, as well as about the loss of reason and disappointment. In a nutshell, the film exposes the whole scope of the dehumanizing power of war and the imperialist nature of the Russian aggression.
Что вы закончите к марту. Когда вы возьмете Киев?
Я не знаю, хочу это очень долго будет.
А вы в Беларуси или в Киеве?
В каком нахер Беларуси, я в Украине.
А то есть вот где-то где в доме можно и поспать, что ли, да, нормально, на кровати?
Ну да, по чуть-чуть можно.
Ясно. Ну, главное, обуто одеты.
Ой, обуто одеты, нет. Тут они живут, я тебе говорю, лучше, чем мы. Тут
Ну, понятно.
уже здесь во все фирменное одето.
Ну, а что, если смотри, какой Запад это поддерживает, или как? Я же не белые шмулки, и все.
Ну, мы гражданские неплохо в кроссовках хорошо двигались.
Так вот. Там, наверное, квартиры и все, и точно
Да,
и дома,
слушай,
там,
ремонт, ремонт, я вот, да, я опять вот прикинул.
Это все деревня, не поселок, деревня, да, вот делают?
Это типа поселка, мы 9
Поселка.
Да. И, блядь.
Знаешь, да, что я тебе скажу? Бля, тут все настолько вкусное, нахуй, ебать. Тут мороженка угощали, ебать, она такая охуенная, нахуй. Мы проезжали...
Меня угощали?
Да нет, вон пацаны по магазине хлопали, пили мороженое, там, хуёж. И это ел, бля, такое охуенное мороженое, нахуй. Сок, вообще, блядь, охуенный сок, ебать. И стоит там что 13 или 15 гривен. То есть это в районе 30-40 рублей, нахуй, литр сока.
Нифига себе. Я уже что-то начинаю думать, что все-таки нахуй была эта операция, блядь. Нет, я про то, что я так смотрю, местные не особо рады. Алло.
Элечка, привет.
Привет. Ты что, здесь?
А сегодня ничего, в пятихатнике 900 человек было, толку 300 осталось. Вот приехали.
А их обратно не было, не отправляют?
А как отправлять? Тут только на автобусах с красными крестами было. Мы не в Крыму, если что. Не знаю, дело там в качестве близости.
Кольцо?
Либо завтрашнего дня все это равнять начнем все. Тогда эти города ебучие, нахуй, хохол давить, ебать, равнять, либо все домой, нахуй, в ближайшее время.
Короче, мы тут обжились уже нормально, у нас тут мы мини-бани сделали, помыли. Я прям помылся полностью, горячей водой, все дела, вообще
А вещи стирать?
Вещи? Ну, я вещи многие выкинул.
Да вообще ничего нет.
Не, носки, трусы еще остались, просто что их постирать тоже надо.
Алло.
Слышишь меня? Я говорю, что нам сказали, типа, что это на то место, которое мы приедем, там гражданских много ходит. И нам дали приказ убивать каждого, кого видим. Ну, потому что они могут сдать нашу позицию и все дела. Я говорю, я уже видел лес полный трупов, больше, чем кладбище. То есть там прям трупов просто не валяются и все, по гражданские люди. Вот так же и мы походу будем нахуй. Всех гражданских, которые мимо будут проходить, убивать, и нашего гражданских. Я сказал сразу, что я никого убивать не буду. Слышишь меня?
Слышу.
А что молчишь тогда?
Я в шоке. Мама сегодня позвонила, Андрей.
Чего?
Говорит, какая-то знакомая и сказала, что вы домой уже скоро поедете.
Ну, что-то говорят в Беларуси, потом Смоленск, а потом не знаю ничего.
А зачем в Беларуси и Смоленск?
Не знаю, да, ничего не говорят. Вот сейчас мы ждем, пока все выйдут. И это, крайне уходит. Я тут маленько подукрал. Это косметики вам немножко.
Да, я будет разница.
Не знаю, там
в семью.
Там крупники, правда, ну ладно.
Ну и ладно, это приезд Украины будет, что, нормально. Ну какой русский человек не сопрет, ничего, ты что?
Кроссовки, потом женские, но они НБ, они фирменные, тут вообще нормально. 38-й вообще.
Ну, слушай, пусть
ну, там синие, они вообще классные. Это, тут все качественно, вся одежда.
Да там, наверное, все мальчишки, наверное, брали. Нет, ты.
Что-то сумками все тащит. Да, блин, мы бабу, у меня возможность есть шутки. Нет, я бы едного блогера, мы тоже снимать, а маленько можно спалить.
Ну так как представь, Софья пойдет учиться, и ноутбук-то тоже нужен быть.
Ну, вот тут спортивная семья такая живет, и витамины что-то набрал, нагородить. И...
Ну, это-то понятно, конечно, витаминов он набрал.
Ну, и футбольные майки, хоккейные, кто-то...
Ну, набираешь, что, Андрей, что можешь, бери. Все равно футболки всегда нужны.
Ну, тут очень качественно, конечно. Я офигел, когда вокруг комнаты.
Такие, как они жили, да? И как мы живем, блин. Вот они за это и бьются, что им, они говорят, ну нормально жили, это вы сюда пришли.
Ну, дом ремонт вообще офигенно, правда. Наши вещи...
Надо подъезд как-нибудь перекинуть.
Вообще классно, как не могу.
Да, я представляю.
Если поедем все вещи, такую же вещи сделать. Они находились,
Нифига, я смотрю, как голос повеселел.